their classification, composition, and efficient handling of farmyard manure. Of course, these organic manures have a special significance in organic farming because they are the source of nutrients. And many times, some organic manures are useful to serve other purposes also. For example, if you use neem cake, it can act as insecticide also in the soil. And neem cake has properties as a fungicide also. So one can get additional advantage of using green manures or any kind of organic manures. There are some other advantages also. The decomposition of organic manures release carbon dioxide into the soil, and some carbon dioxide is escaping from the soil. So that way, this carbon dioxide kills certain pathogenic bacteria and fungi. There are many evidences to support this view. So now let us see first the learning objective. Just a minute. So discuss the sources and classification of organic manures, and then we will discuss in detail about farmyard manure. What are the factors that affect its composition and what kind of losses occur during the collection, transport, storage, etc. of farmyard manure. Now some terminology, this animal waste. The waste produced by farm animals on and off the farm. Waste from the cattle shed, digested slurry from gobar gas plant, droppings of sheep and goat, remnants from slaughterhouses. All these are animal waste, whether they are produced by the live animals or after their death. All this constitute your animal waste. Bagasse. Bagasse is a byproduct of sugarcane industry, and these are actually residues from the industry consisting of crushed stalks from which the juice has been extracted. You must have seen the cane of the sugarcane, and when it is crushed in the rollers, between the rollers, the juice is extracted and the remaining part is your bagasse. It is used in the same sugarcane industry to make sugar as an energy source. They burn it to concentrate the sugarcane juice and make it into your chini or sugar. So it is used as a fuel. Sometimes bagasse can be used for paper mill industry. It is used for making papers also. Crop waste. Crop waste means any kind of unused part of the plant that is not having some economical value. So, for example, stubbles, leaves, seed pods, etc. make your crop waste. Manure, a kind of plant nutrient source, including organic manures and fertilizers, but now restricted to animal dung, based bulky organic manures, compost, oil cakes, bone meal, and other animal waste. We'll deal in detail about these organic manures. Night soil is semi-solid human excreta or feces. They are of course not allowed in organic farming. Organic waste, organic material that is biodegradable and comes from either a plant or an animal, maybe green waste, maybe food waste, maybe pruning waste. Pressed mud, again a byproduct of sugar factories or sugar industry, obtained by filtration of the precipitated impurities which settle out in process of clarification of the mixed juice. Some of you might have seen a sugarcane factory. They have big boilers, open pans where they put this juice of sugarcane and they boil it. They want to remove the water from this juice, and during that time they add certain materials that clarify this juice, maybe some chemicals or maybe some natural products they add and which clarifies the juice. So certain impurities will come on the top of the juice and they are removed, and they are in very sizable quantity. and they get stored in the factories, and then after proper composting they can be used as manure, that is press mud. Sewage, soil biodiversity we discussed, stubbles are the part of the mature crops such as base of the stem, roots left on the fields after the harvest. This is quite clear in sugarcane again. In sugarcane, when people harvest the sugarcane, it is not from the ground exactly. It is say 8 to 10 centimeter above the ground. So whatever is anchored in the soil, that is your stubble, crop stubble. You will find crop stubble in mustard also, or in some other crops, particularly when harvesting is done by machine or combine. Ammonia volatilization, you understand, biogas, gas generated by the anaerobic fermentation of organic matter, fodder, gypsum, leaching, these are simple terminology. Litter, litter is loose organic debris, leaves or twigs, etc. on the surface of earth consisting of freshly fallen or slightly decomposed organic materials. Similarly, you can go through this terminology. Now we come to the exact topic. Just a moment. Yeah, let us see this organic manures. So it can be defined as these are the plant and animal waste products that are used as source of plant nutrients. They are basically there to be used as source of plant nutrients. And organic manures, OMs means organic manures, release plant nutrients after their decomposition. It is not that freshly added manures will give you nutrients. It takes time. So these manures contain plant nutrients in complex organic form, mostly in proteins and some other compounds. Now, what are the sources of organic manures? So there can be many sources of organic manures. Cattle waste such as dung, urine and slurry from biogas plants. So this is what makes your farmyard manure. Farmyard manure is composed of cattle shed waste plus dung. Human habitation waste such as night soil, human urine, town refuse, sewage sludge and silage. So these could be source of organic manures. They can be used for composting purpose. Poultry litter, droppings and sheep and goat. So one can collect the droppings of sheep and goat and make the sheep or goat manure. That will be called as sheep or goat manure, a separate class. Similarly, poultry manure is a separate class. It is not part of farmyard manure. People consider poultry manure different from the farmyard manure. Next source of organic manures could be slaughterhouses waste. The slaughterhouses are the place where animals are killed. Animals are killed and their part like your skin or blood or meat or their hoof, horns, etc. are collected, and some of them are used to make manures. So manures such as bone meal, bone can be used. Your meat can be used, meat meal, blood can be dried to make blood meal, horn and hoof meal, and again, one more class is there, fish manure. Certain fish waste are also there. Some fish waste are used for feeding the pets, your dogs or cats. Now, byproducts of agro industries like oil cakes, bagasse and pressed mud, fruit and vegetable processing waste are also used as a source of organic manure. Crop waste such as sugarcane trash, stubbles, other related material or crop residues. Water hyacinth, it is used to make compost or maybe many other weeds which are bulky in size, they have high biomass, can be used as a source of organic manure. And tank silt, sometimes tank silt is also used as manure. Green manure crops and green leaf manuring material. So now you have seen the list of organic sources that can be used to make organic manures. Classification, they are divided into two: bulky manures and concentrated manures. So bulky manures are the manures which have relatively less percentage of plant nutrients compared to the concentrated organic manures. And concentrated organic manures are defined comparing the bulky organic manures, means the manures which contains relatively higher percentage of plant nutrients in comparison to bulky organic manure are concentrated organic manures. So bulky organic manures normally contain 1 to 2 or 3% of nitrogen. Similarly, concentrated organic manure may contain 4 to 5% nitrogen. That is the prime difference. Bulky organic manures contain low concentration of plant nutrients and used in large quantities. Examples are compost, farmyard manure, green manure, sheep and goat manure, and poultry manure. They are part of the bulky organic manures, and they provide all the essential plant nutrients, including micronutrients. These uh, bulky organic manures, particularly they contain sizable quantity of iron. Many times our uh, soils are not able to supply iron to the plant. Under those conditions, organic manures supply iron very well. They improve the physical properties of the soil, water holding capacity. I think you understand the role of organic manures. They improve soil biodiversity and biological activity, and they increase the availability of the native nutrients such as phosphorus. Can anyone tell me, if we add organic manures into the soil, how can it increase the availability of phosphorus? Please come forward. Any one of you can come.
Sir, through decomposition process, some organic acid released due to decomposition, and these organic acids solubilize organic phosphorus.
Yeah, organic phosphorus or inorganic phosphorus. This acid will solubilize organic phosphorus or inorganic phosphorus.
Both I think,
Inorganic,
sir.
because it is
Yes.
produced from decomposition of organic matter, so it helps in the solubilization of inorganic phosphorus, which may be tricalcium phosphate or maybe octacalcium phosphate, apatite. So certain parasitic nematodes and fungi could be controlled. These are the examples. There are good number of reports that addition of organic manure into the soil controls parasitic nematodes, which are supposed to cause diseases in plants or problems in the plant, not diseases, problems in the plant that damaged by nematodes and fungi. Some harmful fungi can be controlled simply by adding the manure. Maybe first time you must have heard it, but there are good number of reports right from IRI also that nematodes can be controlled or reduced by adding organic manures to the soil, and also by adoption of crop rotation one can manage the nematodes. Now, concentrated organic manures contain relatively higher concentration of plant nutrients, especially of NPK, than bulky organic manures. This is the way to define them. Such manures are made from raw materials of plant or animal origin. So they can come. Examples are oil cakes, blood meal, fish manure. Their release of nutrient is slower, but the supply available nitrogen for a longer period. The release is slower, but not as slower as in case of bulky organic manure, because you know the as you increase the nitrogen percentage in the plant material or in the manure, the CN ratio gets narrowed down, and the manure which have narrow CN ratio, they will decompose faster than the manures which have wider CN ratio. Now see the differences. These are very formal differences in the bulky and concentrated organic manures. In the first column, you have different parameters or particulars, and then bulky and then concentrated. So NPK is low and high. CN ratio is high in bulky organic manure. In concentrated, it is low. Carbon content is high, low, and they are very relative or comparative. Nutrient availability relatively slow. Here it is quick. Insecticidal property generally not observed, and certain cakes like neem cake can have insecticidal properties. Influence of soil physical properties quite prominent, comparatively less because of rate of application. Because concentrated manures are rich in nutrients, so their rate of application is lower. However, in case of bulky organic manures, rate of application is high. And secondly, if high rate is there, that means you are adding more carbon. You are adding more carbon to the soil. And finally, this carbon is converted to humus. So humus will help in better, more humus production, will help in better soil physical properties when you use bulky organic manures. Sources are plants, humans, earthworms, and livestock. And in concentrated plants, dead or slaughtered animals, fish, birds. Rate of application is high. In concentrated, it is low. Time of preparation is long for bulky organic manures. For concentrated, it is short. Examples are FYM, and in concentrated, it is oil cake. Now, availability and potential of major organic sources for manures and nutrients. Many times it has been a matter of discussion among the scientists that how much nutrients can be supplied by organic manures. Do we need to depend only on the fertilizer, or can we supply some nutrients from organic manures? So many estimates have come up, and one estimate suggests that if we are capable of harvesting or tapping all the organic sources available, then at best we can supply 8 to 9 million tons of nutrients from organic sources. But that is the condition when we are able to tap all the organic resources. Lot of organic resources go waste. See, human excreta in urban areas, cities, urine, human urine, it is going waste, totally waste. Even the sewage sludge, they are not properly used as a manure. There is very little composting in the urban areas. So we are definitely losing a lot of organic sources. So overall, we can supply at the most 4 to 5 million ton of nutrients through different organic sources. So that kind of data is available, and it was given by Manna and co-workers in 2015. This Manna is a soil scientist from Indian Institute of Soil Research, Bhopal, and he has recently written a review on organic farming. Shortly, I will share that review. It is in Advances in Agronomy, and just 1 week or 2 weeks back it is published. So you will get a copy of that review on organic farming. So there he is discussing all these issues: availability of organic sources, how much compost we can produce, how much vermicompost can be useful. So because this kind of data is not available anywhere from India, but he is the person who is making such kind of data, and partly reliable also. So according to him, the CN ratio of organic waste is very high. That may vary from 80 to 102 is to 1. 10 major crops like rice, wheat, sorghum, pulse millet, etc., they generate about 679 million tons of crop residues, and about 226 million ton is practically available. See, the production of residues is 679 million tons, that is for crop residues, but we can harvest only, or we can collect only 226 million tons that can be used to get the nutrients, and at best we can get 5.6 million ton of NPK. These nutrients are expressed with respect to NPK. This is not P2O5K2O. This is NPK, 5.6 million tons of NPK by residues. And the potentially, now see the another source. The potential availability of all animal excreta is about 369 million ton, of which 119 million ton is actually available. The remaining animal excreta may go waste. Sometimes farmers use them as a fuel. I think some of you may be knowing about Upla. Upla is quite common. Upla, Kanda, it is known by different names in North. So those are used as a fuel material. I will show you some picture of that kind of thing. So only 119 million ton is actually available, and that can give you 1.7 million ton of NPK. Another is, it is estimated that about 64.8 million ton of city waste. City waste is generated every year from different cities of India that have nutrient potential of about 0.285 million tons. So we can get this, of course it is small amount, but we can still get some nutrients from the city waste. Or urban compost, one is town compost, sometimes it is called. The estimated annual generation of byproducts waste from the horticultural crops or plantation is 263 million ton, of which 134 million ton can be tappable, can be tapped. It is also estimated that every million ton of crop residue of food grain production will produce 1.2 to 1.5 million ton of crop residues, and every million increase in cattle population can supply 1.2 million ton of dry dung per year. So these are some of the estimates of nutrients that can be supplied from organic sources. Every million increase in, just forget it, next line, it is estimated that if these wastes are managed properly in a scientific manner, it can be source of 10 million ton of plant nutrients. It can be a source of 10 million tons. So I told you 9 to 10 million tons can be the option, but you need to tap all the resources. Now we switch to farmyard manure, how it is produced and what are the things related to farmyard manure. So first of all, let us see how it is defined. So farmyard manure is the well-decayed mix of dung and urine produced by the farm animals along with their bedding materials and the roughages fodder that could not be consumed by them. So many times students get confused that FIM means it is just purely dung. Dung makes your FIM, which is wrong. Farmyard manure include dung, urine of the cattle and bedding material. Sometimes in the winter months, some bedding material is laid down on which animals sit, and that bedding material absorb your urine also. And some of the dung gets mixed with the bedding material. So that is also part of farmyard manure. And some fodder, sometimes you feed fodder to the animals and they are not able to consume all fodder. Some leftover is there. So that is also mixed by the farmers into this mixture and everything composted, which is your farmyard manure. So farmyard manure is the well decayed. Remember, it is well decayed. Decaying should be there, or proper decomposition should be there. Mixture of dung and urine produced by the farm animals along with their bedding materials and the roughages of fodder that could not be consumed by them. The recently generated or gathered and stored farmyard manure is called as fresh farmyard manure against the well-decomposed farmyard manure. A well-rotten farmyard manure on an average contains 0.5% nitrogen, 0.2% P2O5 and 0.5% K2O. So this is the composition, typical composition of farmyard manure. So urine, which is waste, contains 1% nitrogen and 1.35% potassium. So students should remember that cow urine contains about 1% nitrogen and 1.3% potassium, K2O, 1.35%, and phosphorus is nil, almost nil or negligible. Nitrogen is in urine. Many times you must be smelling the bad odor from the urine. This is mostly ammonia. This is ammonia volatilization causes bad odor from the urine. So nitrogen in urine as urea may be lost by ammonia through volatilization. To avoid such losses, the available litter and refuse can be mixed with soil and spread in the shed to absorb urine. So that is the strategy to collect the urine. The next morning, urine-soaked refuse and dung can be placed in the trench. You can remove the soil or the bedding material which has been soaked with urine, and you can change it. You can put it into the trench or into the pit or into the heap, onto the heap of farmyard manure. When fillings in the trench reach a height of 45 centimeter to 60 centimeter above ground, the top of the heap is sealed with cow dung each. So just a minute. So now this farmyard manure can be prepared in a pit, it can be prepared in a trench, and it can be prepared in a heap. Heap is a kind of dhere, you understand? Heap is the dhere, means it is collected or it is put above the soil, above the surface of the earth. So next morning, urine-soaked refuse and dung can be placed in the trench, meant for preparation of farmyard manure. When fillings in trench reach a height of 45 to 60 centimeter above the ground, the top of the heap is sealed with cow dung, earth, slurry, etc. So you can make some local arrangement for covering this. So sometimes people take soil and put some water in it and then mix this, and then they put one coating of this material onto the farmyard manure. And the height above the ground is 45 to 60 centimeter, because after some time the FYM will get compacted and this height will go down, means it will come to the level of the ground. Sealing encourages the process of decomposition. Decomposition process will be faster because heat will be conserved. The manure matures in 4 to 5 months after plastering. It takes 4 to 5 months time. Urine can be absorbed by bedding materials spread in the shed. Urine can be collected by common drains in the cattle shed to transfer it to the cemented pit. Later on, it can be transferred to FYM pit. So such kind of structures can be made where you have dairy. Professional dairies are there. Or if a farmer is having many cows and many buffaloes, he is having pakka floor, then such arrangement can be made. Means in between two rows of animals, in the central part, one can get a drain, and this drain will open into a pit, which is also cemented pit, and there the urine can be collected, and this urine can be used for many purposes. This can be put into the farmyard manure pit. This can be used. Some people use or misuse it as a insecticide, or it can be used for Baba Ramdev. Ramdev can use it in the bottles. So you can use it the way you like. Now, chemical preservative can be used to reduce ammonia losses and enrich the manure. So sometimes this manure contains urine, and this urine can be preserved particularly by gypsum and superphosphate fertilizers. Gypsum can be spread uniformly for the absorption of urine in cattle shed. It reduces ammonia volatilization from the urine. So you can see this is the matured farmyard manure from a farmer's field. And I cannot see this slide. This is composition of raw materials used to prepare farmyard manure. So you can go through this slide and you can find what is the composition of different materials, organic materials produced by animal or obtained from the plants. I cannot see it. And similarly, next slide also, the amount of excreta. I don't know how to make it big. Grid view, more actions, cursor. Can you see it properly? Can you see this slide?
Yes,
quantity of excreta.
Yes, sir.
I cannot see it. This screen is very small, so I could not make it full. I don't know what is it. Anyway, so you can see how much quantity of excreta produced by livestock. So this is per animal, how much can be produced in a month, in a year, or per day. You can see this data, and the amount of excreta produced per year by different animals depend upon the age and weight of animal and the total quantity of fodder and concentrate fed daily. So this is decided by many factors like age of the animal. Naturally, younger animal will produce less and adult will produce more. And weight, normally animals having heavy weight will produce more excreta than the lighter weight animals. And the quantity of fodder, if you supply more fodder to animal, eating more fodder, then more excreta and otherwise less. So you can see this data, or otherwise I will share you one chapter on organic manures. It is published in a book. I can share. If anybody require, write me an email. I will send to people who ask for it. Then among the various farm animals, horses produce the largest quantity of excreta per year. So this is a good quiz question for you. Which animal, which farm animal produces highest quantity of excreta? So answer is horse. Buffaloes might be producing nearly the same quantity under Indian conditions. Next in order are bullocks and cows. Due to their small live weight, sheep and pigs produce lesser quantity of excreta. So these are the extract from the last slide. Cows and bullocks on an average produce 42 to 56 kg nitrogen. So now the manure has been converted into your nutrients. So cow and bullocks on an average produce 42 to 56 kg nitrogen, 10 to 14 kg phosphorus, and 34 to 46 kg of potassium per head annually in their dung and urine. Sheep and pigs produce relatively small amount. Horses, on the other hand, produce the maximum amount of NPK. The common farm animals like bullocks, cows, buffalo. Now you can see the composition of approximate quantity of plant nutrients excreted per head annually by various animals. You can go through it and see the quantity of NPK produced by different animals. Similarly, now we go to the factors influencing the composition of farmyard manure. What are the factors that will affect the composition? Means whether you will have high levels of nutrients in the manure or you will have low levels of nutrients in the manure, farmyard manure. So species of the animal will decide the composition. You have different animals, different variety of animals, then your composition of manure will change with the species of the animal. So for example, sheep and poultry manure is rich in NPK than cow, horse and pig manure. So it is by default that poultry manure sheep and poultry manure contain more nutrients than the manure produced by cow or horse. It is from the original material. original material, that is the excreta. So excreta may have been very rich in nutrients for your sheep or your poultry. Therefore, the manure resulting will have higher levels of nutrients. So this is number one. Number two, age and condition of the animal. Manure produced from old or sick animal is generally rich in nutrients, and produced from young animal and healthy animal is having less level of nutrients, because these young and healthy animal can consume maximum quantity of the nutrients present in the feed. However, sick animals may not consume all the nutrients present in the feed items. Feed items here means concentrate, fodder, green fodder, dry fodder, all such materials are the feed of animals. Task of the animal. Manure from bullocks will be richer in nutrients than from cows producing milk, because when they produce milk, lot of nutrients are drained from their body, so into the milk. So not much is left for the dung. So manure from bullocks is richer than manures from cows producing the milk. Animals producing milk absorb more nutrients from the food compared to animals that are working or are at rest. Task of the animals हो गया. Next is your quality of feed and fodder. So naturally, if they are eating leguminous fodder or fodder material rich in nutrients, their manure will be rich. If they are eating roughages, only very low nutrient containing materials, then their manure will contain the less level of nutrients. Method of storage, it also affects the composition. Under ordinary condition of storage, FYM suffers losses of nitrogen as ammonia. Means if it is not scientific, the level of nutrients will be less, otherwise it will be more. So with bad storage, losses of plant nutrients will be more. Now, types of bedding material. If your bedding material is rich in nutrients, manure will be rich in nutrients. If you are using some leguminous residues even as a bedding material, then your manure will be rich. If you are using just your sugarcane trash or some stover, where very coarse stover, then the manure will not have higher levels of nutrients. So you can see different bedding material like paddy, wheat, jowar, bajra, straw. See the composition. So this composition will affect the composition of the manure. Next, losses of nutrients. This is the important topic for today. Losses of nutrients during handling and storage of farmyard manure. So we need to understand at what stage losses of nutrients can occur from farmyard manure, so that preventive measures can be taken. So in this case, the losses may happen during the handling. Handling means when you get it from the animals directly. Then after transporting it to the place where you have pit or trench or heap, there will be some losses from the pit or losses from the trench, and then you will transport to the field. And it is not that same day farmer will mix it into the soil. You must have seen that they will make some dairies or some small heaps in the field, and they will be there for a month, and then they will spread it into the field, and then they will mix it into the soil. So that time also some losses by volatilization can occur when small heaps are made in the field, or when they spread it, but they do not mix it into the soil. If you spread organic manure on the soil surface and do not mix it into the soil, the volatilization losses are more. So such kind of losses are required to be minimized. So we should understand these losses. So first loss is losses during handling. So if floor of the cattle shed is uncemented or kacha floor, the urine gets soaked into it. Large quantities of nitrogen are lost through ammonia volatilization. So that urine is not recoverable. If you can recover this urine, then you can increase the nutrient or composition, better composition of the manure. You can avoid the losses. Number two, the above loss can be prevented by using straw as a bedding material and construction of a concrete floor. So that way you can avoid these losses. A major part of dung is used for making cow dung cakes. Cow dung cakes, I was referring your upla or kanda in north. Cakes used as a cooking fuel. When animals go out of grazing, no efforts are made to collect their dung. So many times animals go for grazing or outside the house, farmer's house, and they are on the way, they are in the field. So many times they lose this dung, and that is not collected by farmers. So you see, this is your cakes or upla prepared as a fuel. Now it is changing, but it was quite common practice in villages, in all Indian villages, whether rich or poor. We used to cook our food by these kind of cakes, and is still common in many places. But it is loss of your manure, you can say loss of manure. So now there are some losses by some animals also, though in a small quantity, but losses are there. So dung beetle is there. Dung beetle, some of you might have seen. It works mostly night. These are rollers, can bury dung 250 times their own mass in one night. Roll dung into round balls. You can see the balls, which are used as a food source or breeding chambers. They collect it in the soil as a food or a breeding chamber for their own. And they are very intelligent insects or beetles. Similarly, there are green bottle flies, not butter, green bottle flies. They feed on cow dung. Many of you might have seen it, green bottle flies. They also eat some dung, especially dung which is very loose, means which is not very tight. Now, what are the scientific methods for collection of or preparation of manure? So one is pit method, trench method, and heap method. There are three methods. Pit and trench method, there is no difference, just difference of length or size. Otherwise, they are same. So in pit method, size is 8 meter by 2 meter by 1 meter, and filled in layers by mixture of dung, urine, and litter up to above 50 centimeter above the ground. So whatever is bedding material, dung, everything is mixed below the animals, and that is brought into the trench or pit and covered by dry soil and then plastered by mud paste. Mud paste can be prepared and it can be pasted. Time is 5 to 6 months. 5 to 6 months by pit method, and usually 10 to 12 tons of farmyard manure per pit is produced, pit of this size. And one animal can give you 5 to 6 tons of farmyard manure per year. So good quiz question, how much farmyard manure can be produced by one average animal? This is 5 to 6 tons per year. Now, trench method, also called as Dr. C.N. Acharya method, 6 to 8 meter into 1.5 to 2 meter into 1.1 to 1.25 meter. So this is the size of the trench. Mixture of dung and urine soaked litter is deposited in layers until it becomes 50 centimeter above the ground layer. Covered with 50 centimeter deep soil or wood ash soil layer and then plastered by mud paste. So it is 150 to 160 days. So practically there is hardly any difference in trench method and pit method. Only difference is in the size of the pit. Now heap method is the most common method and most unscientific method. So mostly used by farmers, and sweepings, cow dung and litter are collected. This litter means the bedding material. Litter are collected and heaped at any fixed place. You can see in this picture, this is a heap of manure, which is normally farmers put outside the villages. Outside the villages, there may be some entry or exit roads. On those roads, both sides, you will find such kind of heaps in the villages. And 6 to 9 months, it takes little longer time than the pit method, and 30 to 35% nitrogen, 20 to 25% phosphorus, and 4 to 6% potassium lost due to leaching or washing and volatilization, particularly when it is passing through the rainy season. In rainy season, everything from such kind of heaps gets washed away. So you can say most of the humus that has been produced during the process will wash away from these heaps. Now see these kind of structures in India, in our villages are very common. You go to any village in India, you'll find these kind of structure. You see in the background of this picture where they store their cakes, and this is your manure from animals, and it is not matured yet. It may take many months, a lot of time, and many things will get washed away from this. So losses of nutrients are high. So now losses during storage. So here storage means you're during the process of preparation. So cattle dung and wasted fodder are collected daily in the morning and transferred to the manure heaps in an open space for a long period. Just you have seen a heap. During this, the manure remains exposed to the sun and rain, and the nutrients are lost by leaching. Leaching can be there, the rainfall may come, and rainfall can leach down the material even from the pits. If you have pits or trench and they are not cemented on the bottom, or there is no polythene on the bottom, then leaching can occur from the pits and trenches also. And heaps, of course, they are open to all kind of losses. So the rainwater causes leaching of water-soluble nutrients, organic acids and other constituents can leach down. Volatilization, considerable amount of ammonia is lost due to decomposition of urea and other nitrogenous compounds. Now, improved method of handling farmyard manure to prevent nutrient losses. How we can prevent these kind of losses? So one is manure heap site. So select the manure heap site at a raised level and make a concrete floor. On the bottom, you can make a concrete floor. Also provide a thatched or preferably tin cover. So if you provide the cover to this heap, then the rainfall will not affect your heap. It will not wash away your nutrients. And then use of chemical preservative is option to conserve the ammonia. So chemical preservative can be applied in the cattle shed to permit direct contact with the liquid portion of excreta or urine. So now you can see use of chemical preservatives. The most common chemical preservatives that are suggested, practically they are not used by the farmers, but they are suggested. The most common is gypsum and single superphosphate. So the reaction involved in preventing loss of ammonia. So both these fertilizers will convert this nitrogen or ammonical form of nitrogen to ammonium sulfate. So for example, the reaction is ammonium carbonate from urea in urine. I think you understand reactions of urea dissolution. So you get ammonium carbonate from urea, and then it reacts with gypsum, it forms calcium carbonate and ammonium sulfate. So now this ammonium sulfate is safe, it will not volatilize to ammonia. Now this is the best option, gobar gas plant. This is the best option where you can digest your dung or animal waste very quickly, and the manure obtained by gobar gas plant can be directly used into the field without any waiting period. So the biogas plant produces methane gas and slurry. So the gas is mainly methane, and slurry is the remaining material, remaining part of the dung. Some carbon has been extracted from the dung, and some carbon is still left in the dung, which is your slurry. The methane gas can be utilized for cooking purpose or for lighting the rural homes, and even for running small tube wells for irrigation. So there are several advantages of biogas slurry obtained from biogas plant. Biogas plant is also called as gobar gas plant. In Haryana, if you go to Haryana state, you'll find this gobar gas plant at every alternate farmer. Every third farmer, you will find this gobar gas plant now. So biogas slurry is quite rich in nitrogen than the original ingredients. Nitrogen percentage is high, maybe somewhere around 1.5% to 2%. It also contains phosphate, potash, sulfur, and a number of micronutrients like zinc and iron. So whatever composition was there in the farmyard manure or in the dung, the same composition is there. Composition means components, but their concentration will increase because part of carbon has been removed from the dung. So therefore, concentration of nutrients will increase. The biogas is extremely cheap and is made by locally available material. It also the prolonged use maintains as well as builds up the soil fertility. Now see, some of you might have seen, this is a picture of biogas plant, and where you can see on the left side, this is biogas slurry. So slurry is coming out from this biogas plant, and this slurry can be directly mixed with the irrigation water, and it can be used. There is no risk of termite, any risk, because its CN ratio has become very narrow, and the decomposition of this slurry in the field will not generate high heat. It will generate very normal heat. So it can be used directly. So now see, the biogas is typically made up of methane. So biogas contains two gases. One is methane, 50 to 70%, and other is carbon dioxide. This is very common quiz question. It is asked from the students that biogas is made up of methane and carbon dioxide, methane and hydrogen, methane and oxygen, something like that. So option is methane and carbon dioxide. So used as fuel for cooking or lighting, a manure slurry, and solving sanitation problems. Because when you have dung and heaps, they look very ugly. And also you have seen some flies come to the dung. But if you digest them in the gobar gas plant, the sanitary conditions are better. So that way it is good. And you can see the nutrient status of biogas slurry. So it is not up to 2%, it is 1.4%, or you can say 1.5% nitrogen, almost 3 times more than the farmyard manure. Phosphorus is 1% and potassium is 0.8%. And FYM and town compost. So you can see it is almost comparable to the town compost. In town compost, you have still more potassium, 1.5% potassium in town compost. Now, the general practice, proper management of FYM in fields. So what should be done in the field? When farmers take their farmyard manure in the trolley or in the bullock cart, they transport it to the field from their village. So some farmers are intelligent. They dig the pit right at the field, and they transport the freshly obtained bedding material and dung every day or every alternate day to the farm, and they compost it. They make their FIM right in the field. But some farmers, or rather most of the farmers, in India, they prepare their farmyard manure right in the village, because every day it is not possible to transport the animal bedding materials or dung. So in this case, the general practice by farmers is to leave the manure in small piles during the hot summer months. So what happens, farmers will transport this FIM from the village to the field, and there they will make small piles in the field, or dairy, or small heap in the field, and then manure is spread on surface but not mixed with soil for several days. Loses its potential. So first thing is that the heap should be immediately spread, and then the manure should be mixed as early as possible to avoid ammonia volatilization losses. Now some machines have come in the market that can directly spread it on the field. Machines are available now for uniform spreading of farmyard manure. The prevailing practice of keeping manure in small heaps spread all over the field for a longer time encourages the significant losses of nutrients. Partially rotten farmyard manure has to be applied 3 to 4 weeks before sowing. However, the well-rotten manure can be applied immediately before sowing. So, what could be the reason? I want to know from you. I read this statement again. Partially rotten farmyard manure has to be applied 3 to 4 weeks before sowing. However, the well-rotten manure can be applied immediately before sowing. Why this disparity? Why this difference? Why one manure is applied 3 to 4 weeks before sowing, while well-rotten can be applied 1 day before sowing? Why this difference? Yeah, Ravi Teja. Ravi, are you there, Ravi?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what is the reason?
Sir. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, can you repeat the question?
That means you were not listening to me. I told it
No, sir. Network was fluctuating somewhat.
3 times. Anyway.
Hello.
The question is.
Sir, network was fluctuating actually.
Okay.
Hello.
Ashok, now it is okay. Your network is okay.
Hello.
All right. Now I can. Yeah, the other Ajmal, what do you think about it?
Sir, I think when we apply partially rotten FIM before sowing about 3 to 4 weeks, then it can decompose in that time, sir.
Yeah, because it is partially decomposed. But
Yes,
what
sir.
is the problem? What is the problem for waiting period of 1 month? Problem is that when the decomposition happen, this decomposition in the field generates lot of heat. So if we apply this partially rotten manure just before sowing of the seed, then the decomposition of this manure will release lot of heat, and that heat can kill your all kind of germinated seed. So that is the answer. You got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Because if the manure is fully decomposed, that means no further heating will happen, no further oxidation of organic matter will happen. Whenever organic matter gets oxidized, it releases a lot of heat, and that heat generated from partially rotten manure in the field can damage your crops, can damage your soil also. So now just few more slides. Sheep and goat manure. The droppings of sheep and goats are richer in nutrients than farmyard manure. You know, already know it. On an average, this manure contains 3% nitrogen. See, 6 times more than FIM. 3% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 2% potassium. So this is the composition of sheep and goat manure. So it can be applied to field in both ways. There are two ways to use sheep and goat manure. The sweepings of sheep and goat sheds. Sweepings are actually the excreta. Sweepings of sheep and goat sheds are placed in pits for decomposition, and it is applied later to the field. So they can be put decomposed in the pits. The nutrients present in the urine cannot be recovered in this method. The second method is sheep penning. Sheep penning, wherein sheep and goats are kept overnight in the field. Take them to the field, and they will put their excreta and urine there, and fecal matter added to the soil is incorporated to a shallow depth by working blade, harrow or cultivator or suitable implement. So this practice is also possible, sheep penning, and now government is giving lot of thrust on sanitation in villages and areas. Now people are not allowed to go for defecation in the fields in rural areas. But it was a very common practice in China, also in India, when people will go to the field for defecation. I'm not recommending it, but that way some manure, human manure, was added to the soils. So that scope has gone down now. Poultry manure, rich source of nutrients as solid and liquid excreta are excreted. So you cannot separate solid part and liquid part, they are mixed, excreted together, resulting in no urine loss. Because these are birds, I think. They belong to bird family. You must be knowing better than me. The nutrient content of unprocessed poultry manure deteriorates quickly. If left exposed, 50% of its nitrogen is lost within 30 days. So losses are fast because initially the nitrogen content is high. So because of that, the decomposition is fast, so ammonia can be lost. Therefore, the immediate processing of poultry manure to prevent its rapid decomposition and save its nutrient properties is necessary. Composting, or the biological degradation of organic waste, has been investigated as a method of stabilizing poultry litter and manure prior to land preparation. Nutrient content of this manure varies considerably depending upon the conditions under which it was processed, the method and the care taken by the farmers or by the people. Average nutrient content is 3% nitrogen, 2.63% P2O5, and 1.4% K2O. So if you cannot remember P and K, at least you can remember nitrogen. That poultry manure contains about 3% nitrogen. So it can be composted. Even your farmyard manure, during the preparation, during the storage in the pit or on the heap. So what is happening there? It is getting decomposed. It is getting decomposed. That means it is getting composted also. So composting is happening in case of, even in case of FIM. However, in very strict sense, composting means production of compost. But here you are producing farmyard manure by composting. Composting means just decomposing it. So composting poultry manure under anaerobic conditions helps for greater recovery of final product and negligible loss of nutrients, particularly that of nitrogen. 3% nitrogen, I think you know this concentration. So it now the recording can be stored by Lakhana